views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody, to the Grave Report with your hosts, Sandy and Russ Wells, from American Ghost Hunters, SJ and Russ Wells. Let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Grave Report. Tonight, Russ is under the weather, so I have a co-host who is actually going to interview me tonight instead of me interviewing her. Which I thought was kind of interesting because, I haven't been interviewed in a long time, so I hope I do well for you. Tonight we're going to talk about mediumship and the pros and cons of it, about how many people think of it as kind of a con, or a curse, I guess, but it's not really. It's just how you perceive it. So we're going to talk about all that tonight. So anyway, I'd like to introduce the host for the evening, and her name is Khata Martinez, and we are actually co-hosts on, or will be on, the Psychometry broadcast on YouTube very soon. So, Khata, take it away.
Hello, this is Khata. I've known Sandy and Russ many years. We met back in 2010 on through a paranormal group and in investigations that we did. I'm getting a little tongue-tied over here.
It's okay.
And I know that she is a medium. I know her abilities. She's good, and sometimes she doubts herself, and don't we all when we are working with our gifts? So I'm going to be asking her some, questions that in regards to being a medium and how she feels about it and how other team members might look at it or consider it. So, all right. So here we go.
All right.
Okay. So I've heard a lot of people say some things about their gifts as being, they don't think it's a gift, but more of a curse. What do you feel? How do you feel about that, Sandy?
Well, I guess when I was younger, I kind of thought of it as a curse because, especially when I first got my gifts, because I didn't know what I was doing. I had to basically train myself. So, yeah, I guess I kind of thought of it as a curse because I was just a young kid and I didn't know really what I was doing, and I don't know, it was scary, pretty much, because I was 5 when I had my near-death experience. I came back to this world with these gifts that I had no idea what I was doing, what it was all about. I didn't even have a clue that I was going to get these abilities because they didn't mention it to me, and it just came upon me, and I took it one day at a time, and basically one step at a time, because that's what it takes. You can't just flop into it and expect it to work right. There's a lot of learning that comes along with it, and
and then being so young at 5 years old, what do you know? You don't know nothing until all of a sudden you're talking for somebody or talking to somebody who people don't see.
Right. Yeah, exactly. My first experience was pretty cool. It was with an older woman. She was very solid in appearance, and she gave me basically an assignment to do, and I did it, but then I got grounded for it because I had to go across the street to the neighbor's house, and it was an interesting time in my life, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, God, I can only imagine. People think you're weird and talking to yourself, and you probably got some flack from your family, I would think. Maybe your mom and dad. They had an idea or what?
Well, they didn't know what was going on. They just knew that the first time, and after the first time, I didn't say a word because I knew Well, my parents were very, like I've told this many times, but my parents were very religious, and I didn't have any idea as a child what they would do, as far as my abilities go and how it went. For me, I just kind of kept quiet and made it through, but it was difficult, very difficult.
I can imagine. Jeez, you have to be able to talk to somebody, but I know how that is. But it had to be really a rough start and had to be very confusing for you, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, very confusing.
More than one way.
Well, it was kind of, in a way, I can laugh about it now, but when I was a kid, when I met up with this first spirit, like I said, she was an elderly woman. She just asked me to do a kind of a thing for her to go across the street and tell her daughter, our neighbor, that she wanted me to give her a message, and when I came back and that was all concluded, it was like she told every spirit in the world that I could talk to them, and I started getting visitations every night. There wasn't a night that I didn't have some spirit standing at the end of my bed or sitting next to me or, whatever. And it all came rushing in like gangbusters. And so that's when I basically started teaching myself and seeing all these spirits. Some of them were pretty frightening. I really got to say that.
I bet. So were you seeing them as they had? Did they appear as they had in how they died? Or?
Yeah, they came to me, and not all of them, but some of them came to me in death form because they went through a traumatic death, and they just wanted to come and show me what had happened to them, I guess. But at the age I was, it was like watching a monster movie. I mean, as far as I was concerned, and and so basically what I did was I prayed and I asked God not to let me see them like that anymore, and insist that they come in their natural, what they look like in the living. In living. Yeah.
That would be scary.
Mm-hmm.
That would give me nightmares.
Yeah.
Don't show me like that. Let me go away. Come back with a different face.
Well, I was so scared to. By the time I was 7, I was so scared to get up out of bed in the middle of the night because I knew I'd run into one that I started wetting the bed because I was too scared to get out of bed. I just kept my head covered all the time, so I didn't see them, but they'd end up pulling on my toe or something in the night. So as you can imagine, I didn't get much sleep. So I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sleeping right. I ended up getting really sick again, and I just drained myself. The iron, the iron in my body just dropped off basically, and I had to take medicine for a while, and so it was crazy.
That's pretty hard on a little person.
Mm-hmm.
But you pulled through, and you've been through a lot over all these years. Right. So I know you and Russ have been doing this paranormal investigations for over 40 years or more.
Right.
And you've been on mass investigations. You've seen, you've heard, felt, you've photographed, you've videotaped, recorded everything.
Yeah.
During paranormal activity and all that kind of strangeness and stuff. So you being a gifted medium, have you ever felt like some team members that you may or may have not worked with, or maybe working alongside other team members, you've probably known that a lot of them don't believe in mediums or psychic abilities or whatever. Did you sense that coming off of other people when you were working with them, or?
Well, not so much with paranormal people as people in the general public. The investigators I worked with were willing to have an open mind as to what my impressions were when I got them. Let's say like we were in an old building or something, and And they wanted me to pick up what I could so we could validate it with the historical facts of what had happened in the building, or how, what may have happened around the building to cause the spirit to be there, that kind of thing.
So they gave you a chance to share your gifts, and they weren't judgmental about it then.
Yeah, well, I can't say that completely, but yeah, mostly. Yeah, they were pretty open to it. But they didn't think of it like I do. I think of doing investigations, and when Russ and I had our team, what I would do was the first thing would happen would be I'd do a walkthrough of the building, every room, every nook and cranny, to get whatever kind of impressions I could about the location. Then after I had done that, then I would kind of shove my abilities, I guess you could say, or shut them off, whatever, to the side. And then I'd be the investigator, like like everyone else. And when you kind of approach an investigation as a medium or a psychic, whatever label you want to put on a person, then you have a tendency to. I lost my train of thought. Isn't that awful?
That's all right.
But when they allow you to be who you are, and get by all the craziness, and just using a medium or a psychic as a tool, just like you would a voice recorder or a camera or whatever. We are just basically tools that gives other investigators a chance to maybe capture more than what they're going to get with the technical equipment.
Right, because it's more than just using, cameras and video recorders and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. The EVP, all that stuff. It's more than that. Yeah, you get a scientific look at paranormal activity, but that doesn't always give you the deeper stuff that's going on that caused all that haunting, right?
Right. And even how the spirits feel, because sometimes, I don't know why this is, but some investigators seem to think that if they get a heavy feeling in the room, it's automatically something evil or bad. Right. That's not the case at all. It just depends on the energy of the spirit itself, how long they've been in spirit. They learn more about it and how to, be in the moment, so to speak. And they will, to try and communicate with you, they will do everything they can to, present that energy to you whatever way they can. And it doesn't mean it's evil. It just means, believe me, if you run into something really bad, you're going to know it.
Oh, yes, I sure do.
yeah, psychic or not.
I know, because, and even so, there are some dark energies that are lingering in a place or a particular corner or wherever, basement, it doesn't matter where. This usually because something traumatic happened in that spot. Mm-hmm. And so there could be residue left over from somebody getting murdered there, or whatever kind of torment was done to, say, children in a basement. It leaves a residue.
Yes.
Not necessarily that there's a demon in a corner down there in the dark. It could be just what the fear that was felt before they were taken out of this life. Right.
Yeah, basically.
So, go ahead.
Now, one of the things that, some psychics can do it and some can't, but it's called psychometry. And it's where you feel the energy in the location that you're standing in. Like, you can walk up to a wall and you might feel the energy of whatever it is and get an impression about that, and then always go back and do your validation to make sure that you're correct.
Yeah.
Because you never know what kind of spirits you're going to run into unless you read the energy that they're putting out. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're able to, and you have that gift, you can see them, you can feel them, mm-hmm. and you can hear them. That gives you a big assist as to what's going on in a building, say.
Right.
Yeah, it helps to have the little scientific gizmos here and there, but still, to get the gist of what really happened to them and why they're still hanging around, that's where you step in, or other mediums step in.
Right.
People with psychic abilities.
Right.
And there's a lot to it.
There's more to it than most people could not even conceive. Let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah. No lie.
Well, it's just, I mean, Kat, you got gifts. I mean, and I know that, and you're very good too. But, you know, as people grow into their gifts, it's not like the switch gets turned on and automatically you know everything you're supposed to know. It can take a lifetime.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And a lot of people, this is one of the things that happened to me as I was growing into my abilities was when I was about, I was 10 years old, and my grandfather died, and then I had another grandfather die 3 months later, and then I had a grandmother that died the following year.
Yeah.
And then my other grandmother died, probably about 4 years later. So within all that span of time, my abilities went away. I was so distraught and so much in grief that I couldn't have told you Casper from whatever. Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty bad time.
Yeah, you were traumatized by the loss of your family member. That's a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you turned it off, so to speak. You put up a wall, so you weren't able to deal with it. You couldn't have dealt with it being vulnerable like that anyway.
Right.
That would have been not a good thing. So
right.
Yeah, it's all about divine timing. And so after all of that, I mean, how long was it after you had first shut down? Did it start coming back to you, or when you felt you were ready to open the door again?
Well, it took me a couple years to get through all that, and so by the time I was 12 or 13, I guess, it started coming back, and I was basically able to handle it more because I understood more about grief. Because up until my grandparents died, I had no clue what death was even about. Most kids don't. They don't understand it, and a lot of times parents will try to guard their kids from going or actually understanding the grief process because they want them to get on with their life, and I totally understand that. But in some form, you have to, express to the children what happened and why they can't see their grandpa or their a parent or a sister, brother, whatever.
Right.
They don't understand why they can't be here anymore.
Were you given some kind of a concept of life after death? Like, there's a heaven and you will go there when you die, or your grandma and grandpa's in heaven, or anything like that? And then there's this other direction, and there's Hades and blah, blah, blah. Did you get that kind of?
Well, growing up as, a child that was in church all the time, I understood that there was a God and there was a devil, that kind of thing. I understood that people die, but I didn't, the word die for me didn't mean a whole lot until my parents or my grandparents passed away. And then I understood, that the concept of going to heaven and going to hell was big. I mean, but of course my views on hell anymore is, heaven is there. Believe me, trust me. I went there. It's there, but not in the version that you get expressed from the Bible. It's more like your own perception of what heaven's like, I guess, that you see what you want to see. And
go ahead.
So, and then hell, yeah, I think we live hell on earth myself, but that's just me.
I agree. Well, a lot of people say there's a lot of theories. Well, this is hell on earth because look at all the chaos and murder and mayhem and all that jazz, wars. I mean, it's everybody however they look at it. Like you said, whatever you envision heaven as being.
Yeah.
If it means you die and land on a beautiful sunset and beach by the ocean shore in Hawaii, that's heaven for you.
Yeah. Well, they're okay. People got to understand there's an astral plane where all spirits go. I'm not kidding. They interact with one another.
Right.
And how you perceive that spirit in the astral plane is what you're going to go through. Like if you perceive every spirit you encounter as a heavenly being, right, or an energetic being, then your existence is going to be there. And then you're going to, as time goes by, if you've transitioned, then you're going to level up basically, and you're going to go to where it is you want to go, like heaven or whatever. And you can visit these places and learn and grow and learn about the Akashic records. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a whole big gambit of theories and stuff that I've seen come into action, things that,
things you've experienced yourself, having been on the other side already and then came back, even being as young as you were. Wasn't the only near-death experience you had, was it? Or?
No, I've had 3 actually, but I don't talk about the other 2 because the other 2 were more like out-of-body experiences more than near-death experiences. But out-of-body is kind of like, I had to have my appendix out when I was like 15. And I was in the hospital. I remember watching myself laying on the surgeon's table or the table, and the doctor working on me and things like that. And yeah, it was because my appendix was already leaking, I guess, from what they told my mom, and so it was getting ready to explode.
and so, is that what you said?
What did you say?
How old are you?
Maybe 15, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then my account. Let me explain this. From the time I was 5 years old until I was 21. Okay, I went through so much trauma and traumatic life experiences and everything else that they just jammed it on me. Everything. I mean, and I had to go through so much that by the time I reached my 22nd year of life, I was really knowledgeable about things that other people still, even at our age, don't understand. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a gift. That's a huge gift, and you're doing good works all your life. Being a light worker and not knowing whatever they call what you do. But yes, I've seen you at work. I've seen your gifts, and I know that you're the real deal.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's true. Just the other day, I had my cousins over for a visit. They came from California. I live in Southern Oregon, and Sandy lives in Washington.
Yes.
So my cousin Steve's wife, Virginia, she had questions. She was really upset. Her mother had died years ago, and she was really close to her mother. And she always, the way she passed was totally unexpected, and so she had a hard time dealing with it because she didn't have a chance to say goodbye, even though, excuse me, before her mom left to go on this short trip, she basically kind of said her goodbyes to her daughter Virginia, the way she had described it, and so that made her feel weird. That made Virginia feel weird, and so she was going, "Why is she saying those things?" Anyway, totally unexpected, and she got a call that the day after, I think it was the day after she left, that her mother she died on something happened during the surgery, and she was, they messed up and she was brain dead. She became brain dead. So she didn't get a chance to, say goodbyes. I said, well, Virginia, your mother, even though she wasn't there, totally, she heard you. She saw what you were doing for her. Her spirit was very well aware. And that was so sad. She goes, well, I wish I knew how she felt. I wish, this, that, and the other. I said, well, I have a friend who's a medium, and I mentioned you. And so, she said, really? She goes, I've been wanting to know. And she's really upset. And she's lost several other members in her family. They're very close to her. But, Miss Sandy was right on. She was on a roll. She was coming out with all kinds of stuff, one after another. And apparently, Virginia and Steve's family members on the other side were just standing in line, coming all around. Oh, look who's talking to the medium. And here they come.
Oh, yeah, they were happy to talk, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that was validation. And as I told her earlier, as I told Sandy earlier, I said, that's validation. They validated that you are a medium, you have the skills, so stop doubting yourself, girl.
Well, it depends on the person you're reading for, because I've gone through situations where this one in particular that I was doing a group reading, and most of the people, and people come to group readings, but what they don't realize is you're not always going to, whoever they're trying to contact, their loved ones on the other side, don't always necessarily have anything to say.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're going to get, like, say out of 10 people, you might get 3 people that get a message, because it's just the way they are. They're busy up there doing whatever they do, so
Right.
if they don't have anything that they had left undone, or, they just don't have a message for any reason, because they're always around the person, or they give signs of love and all that stuff. And if the person is aware, they'll know exactly what their loved ones want to tell them anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah. For instance, if somebody, say, the little girl's mother passes away, but before she passes away, they always talked about butterflies, and and she had her daughter all interested in butterflies or whatever. So then mom passes and the little girl's distraught, but then she starts seeing a bunch of butterflies. Well, that's the mother. She's letting her know that I'm still here, baby. I'm still with you.
Yeah.
And depending on how old the child is, she'll remember that, though, no matter the age.
Yes.
And then until she gets a validation from somebody like yourself, being a medium. Oh, well, don't you remember? I see butterflies, and they're all around you.
And this is something crazy. What I started to talk about, and I kind of missed that point, was when I was doing that group reading, one lady, this is what I understand about people. You come to see a medium to try and get some answers for yourself to make you feel better, okay? And when that medium tries to give you those messages and you block them, which is very possible, because all you have to do is doubt a medium, and if they pick up on that, that's a block. It's like being put inside a big box. And
so goes the wall.
Right. And so you're not going to pick up anything, and then they think you're some kind of crackpot. Well, here's the deal. That lady was blocking me so much, and her friend she had a friend with her, and she kept saying, well, you got to listen to what she's saying. She's telling you what the message is, but you're not listening. And the one lady, the doubting lady, said, well, she's not picking up on anything that I understand. And the friend is sitting there going, yes, she is. You're just not listening, And so finally, I don't know if she dropped her doubt or whatever it was, dropped the block so that I could kind of peek in a little bit.
Yeah.
What I did pick up was that, because she was trying to get a reading about her boyfriend, I guess, if I remember right. And he had passed away unexpectedly. And so they said she, in her mind, was telling me that she wanted to know something about his death, what she did for him after he had passed. And I said, well, what is it about Deception Pass Bridge, which is this really pretty area over here? And the friend goes, how would she know that? Why don't you just believe what she's telling you? Because they had gone to Deception Pass and had a service and dumped his ashes at Deception Pass.
Yeah.
So how would I know that?
Right. So did that change her mind, that person?
She was still being totally snotty, but it was okay.
Well, I bet you gave her plenty to think about after she stopped having an attitude, was in her own little space and thinking about it.
I did, but I didn't understand why she would come there and pay $40 if she wasn't going to have an open mind and believe in what I was telling her. And
right?
A lot of people, think, well, I'm not going to pay that person that much because I don't believe in it. Well, don't do it. I don't expect you to, so.
Well, and they poo-poo the whole thing because it's too close for comfort for them to believe, oh my God, there are such things as, psychics. They hear things, they know things. Oh, the mediums, they're scary. I don't know. But she just answered a question and I didn't even say anything. So you twist their mind all about after you've proven, hello.
Right.
How did I know that?
I would like to have been a little fly on the wall in their car or something as they were leaving to see what her friend said to her, because her friend was really upset with her. So.
Oh, really? Oh, she probably heard all about it too on the ride home.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, some people they're like a block of wood. My sister used to call herself that. So, I'm a block of wood. I don't feel anything. I don't hear anything. I said, oh, you're telling stories. You do too.
Yeah.
I've seen you, know, but it's too close for comfort and it scares people. It scares some people. But I'm used to it. I've always seen, heard things and felt things.
See, so. I always want people to come and ask me the hard questions like what is, what it's like to be in the spiritual realm and all those kind of things that nobody ever asks me. They want to know about their loved ones, but they don't want to know what happens when they're there, or what they discover on their own as spirits and all that stuff. I want, because that's what I'm going to school for. I want to know, I want people to know that if they have a question about the astral plane or heaven or whatever you want to conceive it as, I will do my best to answer it for you. And because I've been doing this so long that people don't have even a clue really as to who I am and what I can do because they don't ask.
Okay, I'm asking a question here.
All right.
So a person dies, say, unexpectedly. Mm-hmm. They've been in a car wreck or somebody shot them, whatever the case may have been.
Right.
So, and say you hear about it, shortly after this happens, and somebody calls you and they say, oh, my relative or whatever, a friend just died, and, they're distraught. What now, knowing this, and you say you have a heart connection to that person who called you or to the person who passed,
right?
Can you see right away what's going on with that person? I mean, you know where they're going.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, what do you see then?
Okay.
I know, but go ahead.
Now you guys got to remember when I'm talking about this stuff, this is my perception of my own abilities and what I can do and things, because a lot of people think, okay, well, psychic is supposed to know everything. No, we don't.
No, it's a constant learning thing.
It's constantly revolving, and it's like liquid. When you pour liquid in something and everything kind of moves around and the water's shifting this way and that way. It's kind of like that for a medium or a psychic, because you're learning. You may learn something, but you're not learning the whole thing about it. So as you go through this ability process, you're going to start learning more and more.
Okay.
And even your gifts will change in some form or another. So, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so ask the question again, because I totally spaced it out. What was it?
No, you just got a little detailed, and that's good. So this person has passed away unexpectedly. They had a car crash or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can you see right away, if it's been, say, within a matter of days or maybe a week, what it all happened? What happened to the spirit of that person? Or are they still hanging around?
Yeah,
etc.
That depends. Okay, because a lot of times, spirits of loved ones who have passed will stick around for about a week because they want to make sure that their family's okay. Yeah. And then eventually, I got that chill. Eventually, validation. But they don't always. Sometimes they transition automatically. Okay, see, here we go. Here's where things get complicated, because I have to explain the whole thing to make people understand what I'm talking about. Okay, say for instance a car accident, like you were just mentioning. You're in a car accident, you see it coming, and your spirit feels it coming. They feel like you're going. It's your time, and you're going to be passing. Your spirit, when that sudden stop happens, when you have the accident, before that sudden stop, your body, or not your body, your spirit automatically shoots out of your body, so you're not feeling the pain.
Is that like normally for everybody, or not quite?
Well, yeah, even like somebody who has cancer or something, they're in and out of their body. They're not completely there, and they're not completely gone. They're in that in between place, I guess. And although they know that they're aware that you're there with them, say as a loved one, doesn't mean that they, especially if they're in a coma or something, they're already out of their body by that time. Because what our one protection from death is the reality that we don't have to feel the pain at the death point. You know, like when you die, you won't feel that pain or whatever because your body's already gone. Or excuse me, your soul is already your soul is already gone. Yeah.
So it might be tethered, but it's no longer feeling the pain until it finally lets go.
That's a good word for it because it's kind of like having an umbilical cord.
They call it the silver cord.
Right. And so there's a lot of different ways that I want people to understand that, because maybe in that point it might make people feel a little bit better about how their loved one passed, whether it was traumatic or illness or whatever, that to know that their loved one was not in pain when they passed.
Especially if it was so sudden that they died instantly. Mm-hmm. So then there's no suffering. They were blessed to be able to just, that cord just snapped and then the pain was gone.
Right, and so, it's not that it's, and even no matter how traumatic the death was, they didn't feel it. They're not even there anymore. So
which is a blessing. Jeez.
Yeah. Right.
So do they, in that instance of a car accident, so the persons might be hanging around for maybe, 3 days, 5 days, whatever, and then they get ushered away, not ushered away, but they're being assisted by, let's say, some kind of loving nursing angels who will take them to like a spirit hospital where they will work on them and heal them from the trauma that they experienced. That's what is that?
When I was told, in my near-death experience, when I went there, I spoke with what I would call, he called himself a watcher. So I don't know exactly what that meant. He didn't really explain that part. But what he did say was that when our bodies, because he was trying to explain to me what happened in my body, because obviously I was there. So he said what happens is they're escorted to this place it's kind of like a healing place, and you're kind of treated like a caterpillar in a cocoon. You're cocooned so that your soul can gather back together from all the trauma that it's been through in the lifetime.
Right.
And then depending on how much trauma you had in your life, how long it will take to heal your soul, because your soul gets splintered into different directions when you're in this place of humanness. It also does other things at the same time, so it has to all come back together, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening is you're healing from trauma and maybe some past life stuff that goes along with that. But I do know that it's kind of like a hospital, like you said, where angels take care of these souls and get them back to where they're recognizable to their infinite soul tribe, I guess.
I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you consider that, or would some people consider that transitioning over to like as what the Catholic religion calls purgatory or limbo?
No, There
How do
is
you understand that?
the lower level spirits, the ones that did some really horrible things in this lifetime, like murder and all that choice
Right.
stuff. They go in as a lower level, or they remain here in the physical plane. And that's where you get ghosts. Now, I'm not saying that every ghost is evil or anything like that. That isn't what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, if they choose, okay, because spirits, just like us as human beings, we have free will and free choice, and we are the only ones that have control over what we do, what we say, our actions. How we react to things. Everything you could possibly think of. We have control of that. Nobody else does. So it's kind of like, the cocoon happens for the butterfly or the caterpillar, and then it turns into the butterfly, which makes them whole and pure again. The only thing our souls understand when we come into this lifetime is love and purity and innocence. And so, depending on the environment, say the child goes through when they come here, that's how it works. I mean, see, this is where it's really complicated. And if I don't explain it right, people are going to go, "What is she talking about?"
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, and the whole thing, everybody has their own beliefs, and that's okay. That's cool. If you're very religious, that's cool. If you're not, that's cool too. Because we're all here to learn what we were sent here to learn.
Right.
And we actually chose what we wanted to learn. If we wanted to learn what it felt like to, or what the experience would be like to die at an early age, well, then that's what's going to happen. See, and even babies that come in, their souls come in to the body, and if they're not meant to be here for whatever reason, because they chose not to be, that's what they wanted to experience. They wanted to experience the experience of being born and the experience of leaving. So yeah, there's a lot of different life plans that spirits come in to this world. So
and then we all have soul contracts that we make with God or the Creator, whatever you want to call them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if there was something that, say, the baby, like you say, is, hey, I'm going to be born to that mother and father right there. I'm going to go in there, and so the baby, goes ahead and enters the little body and is waiting to be born, and then he realizes that, oh no, there's something wrong with my body. And maybe the parents were, on drugs the whole time that she was pregnant and whatever, and of course there's damage. So the child can experience being born just to see if it might be able to make it, and then realize, oh no, my body is in too much pain, and it could maybe last 3 days or something, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Or it could just say, I can't do this. I can't do this. I gotta go. This is not for me. I don't want to live this life. And so, yeah, there's the soul contracts, and it had a chance to see what it would be like, but then it could realize that, oh wait, that would be too hard for me to deal with. Right. And you're not going to get judged for that.
No.
God's not going to judge you for that.
Now, here's something I want to explain about souls, because if they choose that life plan or whatever, and they have to get permission to do this, but when they come into this lifetime and want to do dirty deeds and evil deeds, that kind of thing, has to go through the upper echelons, so to speak. God, that you're going to come in, but your soul's going to get extremely damaged, because, like I said, souls are nothing but pure light, pure love, pure innocence, all that. And even the people in this lifetime that are bad, like serial killers and stuff, they're usually go back and get healed, but in some cases they're not allowed to come back because they have damaged themselves to the point of evilness.
Yeah, and there's no turning back.
There's no turning back.
They've turned completely to the dark side, and that was their choice, because everybody's born with free will.
Right, but here's the kicker.
Okay.
They can be rescued. There is such a thing as called soul retrieval.
Yes.
And they can be retrieved by archangels if they've proven themselves not to be as bad as what the creator is seeing them, or the whatever, or source, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
That brings to mind the possibility of a person dying and that soul was completely evil and then just gets pulled out of there by the creator or whatever, the guardian angel of that body, that person. And then a walk-in has the opportunity to step in. A walk-in of a good spirit has the opportunity to step into that body and come back to life. That's a whole other story there.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very the metaphysical and esoteric, whatever you want to call it, is very complicated.
Yeah.
And people need to start paying attention to their experiences because they're missing out on a lot.
I know.
There's so much goodness and so much good things that happen to you that, you might go through some challenging times. We all have to, because it's a life learning thing to take back with you and teach other. All this stuff goes into the Akashic records, every bit of it, because they want it all recorded on the most minute experience you may have, may be your most profound experience.
Right. So it gets recorded there, and that's where it stays for the creators to see, to experience through his angels.
Yeah. Well, it's like every second of every moment of every second of every hour of every day and every month and year, they know everything that you've done while you're here. Everything.
Yep. Everything. Nothing is hidden. You can't hide anything from the creator.
No, you can't. I mean, think about that, because he created you. He knows you. He knows you better than you know yourself.
Head to toe, back and forth, up and down.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true. So I wanted to touch on one other subject before I pass you over to yourself.
Okay. Go ahead.
So Sandy and I, and Russ not so much at this point, but he'll be busy with us. We've been since June. We had gotten into the decision of getting into working at finding missing persons, cold cases.
Right.
And I came to Sandy with a question. I said, after hearing about the natives, and I've talked about this before, that the native children who were taken away from their parents, or the parents couldn't afford to keep them, the natives. And so the Catholic Church would offer them, you can come to our school and we'll feed them and take care of them here, and they'll get the teachings of the Lord, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, they were murdered, they were abused, they were raped, it was horrible, and they just threw them out in a big lot and unmarked graves after they used and abused them and whatever. So when that happened and we found out about it, it went global. I was feeling this deep calling about, I wonder if Sandy would be willing to try this. I mean, because I could ask all the questions and then she can answer. That was my thought. Yeah. And I kept feeling hope for that. So we went ahead and did that. And that was in June of, that was last year. Or was it before June?
I don't remember.
There was a lot of, we did a lot. We have like 14 or 15 Zoom videos that we recorded.
Right.
The cases that we did. And we'll get around eventually to sharing those. We'll have to change the names because, to protect the families until, if they're blessed enough to be given back their sacred bones and their remains. But we can talk about that and share some of those experiences, and they're fascinating. They'll send you through a myriad of emotions. It's just, it's a calling that I feel real strong about this, and Sandy is really good at seeing things, even though she doubts herself.
So do you.
Yeah, I know, but there's validations, and we both get them.
Yes.
So I'll get the thrills too, or she will, or see visions, and so that's helping me too to hone my own skills, psychic abilities, and such. And I'm really appreciative of having Sandy to work alongside with. So if you all are interested in learning about how that kind of works, the mediumship ability, the channeling of other spirits, then I suggest you can tune in, and Sandy will announce it when we get around to that. So
yeah, because we're going to be doing a show live on YouTube called Sacredopedia. And the reason I called it that is because it reminded me of the encyclopedia of spirituality and the metaphysical, or esoteric things. So
yeah. So that's I'm excited to get into this with you and start doing these things, because you'll find them very interesting. And
well, not to mention we're going to be doing tarot readings too. So together,
true.
At the same time.
I like the oracle card readings. I'll be doing that. She likes tarot. We'll be doing things back and forth, and it'll be fun. Yeah,
it will be. So
I can't think of anything else to ask you.
Okay. Well, Khata is very talented too. She just kind of puts her light under the bushel, so to speak, and doesn't really claim her abilities too much. But she's very good. Nah, you don't. Nah, you don't. But we argue about this, but it's okay, because we don't really argue. We just kind of get after each other for being doubting Thomases, so to speak.
Doubting Tinas, however you want to put it.
Yeah. And like Kat said, we've been friends for quite a while, and sometimes you meet people in your lifetime that will either come in and stay forever, or they'll come in and be gone within a season. That's what kind of how we refer to it as.
Season, reason, or lifetime. That's yeah. True that. Well, we've known each other for a long time before this lifetime, that's for sure. And Russ too.
Yes. People don't know Russ very well, because he's kind of quiet in the background a lot of times. That's because I'm usually running my mouth. But anyway, Russ is very talented as a sensitive himself, and he's had so many unbelievable experiences. I wish I could just sit down and tell you all every single one that he's had that were totally incredible and totally. Nobody would believe it if he told you. I mean, it's those kind of experiences. And as a paranormal investigator, I've had the privilege of working with my husband by my side for as long as we've been investigating, about 42 years. So,
that is cool.
A lot of times he comes up with things and they match with me. Or sometimes he'll come up with things that don't match with me, but I believe him, and I believe his perception of it, because what he sees or what he feels is a connection with well-known people, or like that's what the spirit kind of looks like, or a song that you can connect to that spirit or the celebrity. Because we were doing an investigation one time, and here in Concrete, where we live in Washington, and he kept picking up this song by Waylon Jennings, and he never told me what the song was, I don't think, but that didn't matter anyway, because it had nothing to do with it. And he realized who the song was by, which was, like I said, Waylon Jennings. So we're walking around the building, and it was an old, what do they call those things? It's a club, like, an
old blues club, or
no, it's like, it's like the Elks and the Moose, and those kind of places. And so it was a VFW, and so we were walking around there and went to the back room where they had meetings and stuff. And in the back room on the wall was like tons of like frames with different pictures of leaders of the group and all that stuff. And Russ walks up to this one. It's right behind the main desk. It's sitting in that room. And there's a frame, and it has a whole list of all the people that were like the president or whatever to the Moose or the Elks or the VFW, whatever. And on the top of the list was W. Jennings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see, so he gets those kind of things. And he gets dates sometimes, so do I. Not as often as he does, but I can give you a time era kind of what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling.
Right.
And so it's those kind of things that not every psychic is the same. And
Right.
not every psychic is tuned in completely. So, if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I'm a psychic and I get 100% right all the time," don't.
They're telling stories.
Yeah, they're probably let's see. I can't even think of the word. It starts with an E, but I can't think of it. But anyway, so don't let people rip you off is basically what I'm trying to say. So a lot of people will do that. And if I'm not picking up anything, and somebody pays me to do a reading for them, if I don't pick up on anything that I feel helped them,
Yeah.
I will give their money back to them, because I don't feel like I served my purpose for them. And that's my job. In basically reality, is because I'm not going to tell somebody something that
isn't true.
Yeah. But
and you said before that you might be getting messages and you're telling the person that you're reading for, and they're going, no, that doesn't sound right. Well, chances are you picked up on some other spirit who's trying to butt into the conversations, because they have the need to, they want to give a message, but it's not necessarily for that person that you were trying to get messages for. So It's not like you were wrong. It's just that, some other spirit pops in and mess things up for you.
Right. And that happens actually a lot. Yeah. I've been through that many times, where two spirits come in at once and they both want to talk to me at the same time. And you have to kind of say, okay, you stand over there and let me get done with this person. I'll get to you.
Wait in line now.
Yeah, go to the back of the line if you don't want to be patient.
That's cool. So I'm wondering, before we go, if Russ would consider letting me interview him and his experiences.
Oh, I'm sure he would. Just catch him on a day when he's not busy outside and wears himself out, which is kind of normal for us. Like the other day, just let him know, and I'm sure he will be glad to do it. Yeah.
Well, mention it to him, and then have him let me know, or you let me know when he's ready to do something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because Ross is kind of quiet. I mean, he may not act like he knows what he's talking about, because sometimes he doesn't think he does, but he really knows. I mean, he's very very talented that way, and I wish I could get him to understand that. I mean, there's so many people that I know that when I meet them, I can tell you whether I feel like you have a progressing ability. Your energy is right, your light is right. Everything's there. It's just it's kind of like putting a salad together, where you put in the lettuce, you put the other vegetables on top, and then they all come together as a salad. Well,
it's good. I like that.
Yeah. And if you don't get it, then I can help you with that.
It's true that. And then some people, they're afraid of that gift or ability that's trying to creep in. Well, it's trying to come to their attention, but they're afraid of it because, they don't understand it. Maybe they've never heard anything about it in their home when they were growing up, or maybe their family members had abilities, but poo-pooed it and shut it down and just tell the kids, oh, you're just dreaming or whatever. No, nothing happened. That was just whatever.
Right.
So they're in denial. So they're going to keep that wall up throughout their life. And they try to come to you for a reading. And then, like you say, you can't get anything because they've already built a block so high and wide and thick that,
See, everybody's got a spiritual path that they take in this lifetime. And if they don't use that that knowledge that they're gaining. Even paranormal investigators, I try to tell them this too. If you got to be open, because every investigator that I've known that have been in the paranormal, working in the trenches, so to speak, for a long time, will have the innate ability to tell you, walking into a place, to tell you whether that place is haunted or not.
Right.
Because their senses get heightened while they're doing it.
I can tell that. I don't see spirits, but I can walk into any place and I know if there's something there that is not good, or it's just maybe there's a child in there that's, lost and doesn't know that it's gone and wants its mommy or whatever. Right. So yeah, I get that. I understand that. And so my gifts are that I can sense them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know without a doubt that there's something there because I've had my own share of experiences. So
yeah, like when I was a kid, when I first started out, and all of a sudden I got these abilities, and they came in like gangbusters. So I had to kind of separate them out and figure out what abilities I actually wanted to keep, and ones that I didn't want to keep. So what I have as of today would be I am an empath, and I am a medium. I can talk to spirits or get messages from spirits, loved ones or otherwise. I have
psychic abilities.
Yeah, I have that, and I'm starting to develop, and this is really, I hate to say this because it's just gotten really stronger over the last, month or so, precognitive abilities, where I'm seeing things about what's going on in the country right now, and I'm seeing things that may affect us in a positive way. I haven't gotten anything negative though, so that's good. Just let y'all know things are going to get better. So you have to kind of decide what kind of abilities you want to keep, because like you said, Kat, earlier, is that some people are so afraid of it. One, they're taught to be afraid. Okay.
Yeah.
And two, they don't want to, they think everybody will think they're crazy if they can do these things. And I'm here to tell you, and Kat's going to tell you the same, is that don't be afraid of what you can do. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you can do, because you're gifted, you're unique, you're an amazing person. And if you can do stuff like what we do, that makes you that many more light workers in this world to send out positive messages to the world.
Think about that. Help others along the way as you're doing your work, and that's important. We're here to help each other. So, yeah, I agree totally.
Does it ever amaze you how fast an hour goes?
That's okay, though, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
So, all right. Well, it's been great. Thanks for letting me interview you. And
sure.
And ask Mister over there if he'd like me to have a chat with him, because I could have a good time.
Well, I would do that. But like I said, Mister is outside doing what he ain't supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
So I'll ask him when he comes in, and I'll let you know later.
Oh yeah, you didn't have to ask right away. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So it's all about divine timing.
Yes, it is. When he's ready,
All right, sis. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thanks, sis. You take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All
Blessing.
Right.